The archive log. Case file 8809 Alpha. Status restricted. Location Federal Records Depot, Sector 4. The building was 3 stories underground. Concrete, dust. Millions of microfilms from 1970 to 1995. Marcus Vance was the night archivist. 52 years old. He liked the silence. He liked that paper didn't talk back. His job was simple. Digitize old missing person reports from the late 1980s. Scan the paper. Enter the name. Save to the cloud. On June 4th, he was working on box 412. State of Oregon, 1984. He pulled a faded manila folder. Inside was 1 sheet of paper. A missing person report for a woman named Clara Vance. Marcus stopped. Vance was his own last name, but he had no relative in Oregon. He checked the birth date, September 14, 1961. He scanned the document. The machine hummed. The digital preview appeared on his monitor. But it wasn't a document he just scanned. It was a live video feed. The camera angle was from inside a small, dark closet, looking out through the wooden slat of the door. The room outside the closet was a bedroom, a single bed, a wooden nightstand, a lamp with a green shade. Marcus stared at the screen. He blinked. He took the paper off the scanner bed. The monitor didn't change. The video kept playing. There was no sound. Then a woman entered the bedroom. She looked tired. She was wearing a yellow nightgown. Marcus recognized her face from a photograph on the missing report. It was Clara Vance. She sat on the edge of the bed. She began to brush her hair. 1, 2, 3. Marcus tried to close the scanning software. The X button on the corner was gone. He pulled the power cord of the scanner from the wall. The green light on the scanner died, but the video on the monitor remained active. On screen, Clara stopped brushing. She lowered the brush. She looked toward the closet door, toward the camera. She looked terrified. She stood up slowly. She walked toward the closet. Her hand reached out toward the wooden slats. Marcus felt his throat go dry. He reached for his desk phone to call security. The phone didn't have a dial tone. Instead, a faint sound came from the earpiece. Marcus dropped the phone. He looked back to the monitor. The closet door on the screen was now fully open. The camera was moving forward, exiting the closet. It followed Clara as she backed away, her hands raised in defense. She was screaming, but the video remained silent. She fell backward onto the bed. The camera leaned over her. The perspective was coming from whatever was attacking her. Then, the footage didn't cut to black. It transitioned to a text log. System update, archive complete. File saved under category, relatives. Marcus stood up from his desk. His knees were shaking. He grabbed his jacket. He walked out of the basement archive. He left the lights on. He drove home in total silence. He locked his front door. He checked his windows. He lived alone. An apartment on the 4th floor. He went into his bedroom. He turned on the lamp. It had a green shade. He froze. He looked at his bed. The blankets were slightly disturbed. He looked across the room at his closet, the wooden slats. Marcus walked over to his laptop on the desk. He opened it. The screen immediately bypassed his login page. It opened the Federal Archive database. A new file was loading. Evidence Supplement B. Marcus didn't click play. The video started on its own. The footage was from a high angle inside a closet, looking through the wooden slats. He could see the bedroom, the green lamp, and he could see himself standing in front of the laptop, staring at the screen. Marcus didn't turn around. He couldn't. On the laptop screen, He watched the closet door behind him slowly swing open. Something dark emerged. The text at the bottom of the screen flickered. Next log, scheduled. Name, interreader name. The file ended. The next morning, the basement archive was empty. Box 412 was gone. Marcus Vance did not show up for his shift. His apartment was investigated 3 days later. No signs of a break-in. The green lamp was still on. The laptop was on the desk. The hard drive was completely melted. No data could be recovered. But the federal system still shows the file size, 47 seconds. It is currently stored in the cloud, unassigned, waiting for the next archive search. If you look for it, you will find it. And when the video reaches second 41, the closet door will open and the system will log your name. This document is a reconstructed police transcript. Parts of the original audio were unclear. Some sections were marked as inaudible. The interview took place in interview room C at 11:42 p.m. The subject was Evan Miller, 34 years old. No criminal record. Evan Miller had called the police himself. He reported that someone was standing in his apartment. When officer arrived, the apartment was empty. Nothing was missing. Nothing was disturbed. Still, Evan insisted on giving a statement. He was cooperative. Calm, almost detached. The interview began with standard questions: name, address, occupation. Evan answered all of them without hesitation. When asked why he called the police, he paused. Not long, just long enough to notice. He said he had been sitting in the dark. He did this often. He explained that silence helped him sleep. According to Evan, the apartment was completely quiet. Then he heard breathing. Not loud, not aggressive. Close enough to be personal. The officer asked where the sound came from. Evan said he couldn't tell. He said that was the problem. The officer suggested it might have been his own breathing. Evan shook his head. He said rhythm was wrong. The breathing stopped when he turned the lights on. The officer noted that fear can create false perceptions. Evan agreed. He said that's what he told himself, until the second time. The lights were already on. The breathing started behind him. At this point in the interview, Evan's voice lowered. He was still calm, but his words slowed. He said he didn't turn around. He said he didn't need to. He knew something was there. The officer asked how he could be sure. Evan replied that the breathing reacted to him. When he held his breath, it stopped. When he moved, it adjusted. The officer asked why Evan didn't leave the apartment. Evan looked confused by the question. He said it was already inside. The interview paused at 12:03 a.m. There is no explanation given in the transcript. When it resumes, Evan is asked if he leaves alone. He answers yes. The officer asks if anyone else has a key. Evan says no. Then he adds something unprompted. He says that breathing sounded tired. This comment was not followed up. The officer redirected the conversation. He asked Evan if he had experienced stress or sleep deprivation. Evan said yes. He said he hadn't slept well since the breathing started responding. The officer asked what he meant by responding. Evan explained that it learned him. It learned how long he stayed awake. It learned when he tired to sleep. He said it waited. At 12:17 a.m., the officer asked if Ewan was afraid. Ewan said no. He said fear would imply uncertainty. He said this was different. He said it was patient. There is a note here in the margin. It says, subject displays flat effect. The officer asked Ewan what he wanted from the police. even thought for a moment. He said he wanted someone else to hear it. The officer reminded him that nothing was found in the apartment, even nodded. He said he knew that would happen. He said it doesn't make noise for strangers. The interview ended at 12:29 a.m. Even Miller was released. No charges were filed. No follow-up was scheduled. 3 nights later, police were called back to the same apartment. This time by a neighbor. The complaint was about noise, specifically breathing. When officers entered the apartment, even Miller was found seated on the floor. He was alone. There were no signs of struggle, no visible injuries. The medical report lists the cause of death as cardiac arrest. Time of death is estimated at 2:40 a.m. One detail stands out. Evan's lungs were completely empty, as if he had exhaled and never inhaled again. Case file 27114C. Closed. The victim's name was Emily Ward, 34 years old. No record, no enemies. She was found inside her apartment on March 18. No sign of forced entry, no struggle. She was sitting in her kitchen table. Her phone was in her hand. The screen was dark. Cause of death, cardiac arrest. No toxins, no trauma, no clear trigger. The case was labeled natural, unfortunate, but simple. Detective Alan Reeves signed the closer report himself. He did not like loose ends. This case had none. Until the file came back. 3 weeks after closure, an internal audit flagged an anomaly. A digital attachment had appeared in the system. There was no upload record, no timestamp, no source, just one file, a video, 47 seconds long. It was labeled Evidence Supplement A. Reeves did not remember adding it. No one in the department did. He opened it. The footage showed Emily Ward sitting at her kitchen table, alive. The angle was high, from the corner of the ceiling, but there had been no camera in the apartment. The video had no sound. She was staring at her phone. 40 seconds passed. Nothing moved. Then, at second 41, she slowly lifted her eyes. Not toward the door, not toward the window, up, directly toward the camera. She held the stare, then the screen cut to black. Reeves replayed it. This time, something felt wrong. At the bottom of the frame, faint and almost invisible text flickered. He paused the video, zoomed in. There were letters, small, white. They spelled a name, Alan Reeves, his own. He leaned back in his chair. He checked the original copy in the evidence storage. Same video, no name. He played it again. 41 seconds. She looked up. The text appeared. Alan Reeves. He called in Officer Marta Klein. She watched it with him. When the text appeared, she frowned. "That's not your name," she said quietly. Reeves turned. On her screen, the letters were different. Marta Klein. He felt the room grow smaller. They ran a duplication test. They exported the file into 3 separate drives. Each officer watched alone. Each officer reported the same thing. At second 41, Emily looked up. At second 42, a name appeared. Their own name. Always correct. Always spelled perfectly. The file metadata showed nothing unusual. Creation date, blank. Author, unknown. Source, undefined. They checked the apartment again. No hidden cameras. No wiring. No neighbors reporting. surveillance equipment. Emily's phone was examined once more. No outgoing messages, no recordings, no drafts. Just one thing. In her deleted photos folder, there was an empty slot, a missing image. The file number existed, but the image did not, like something had been removed or moved. Reeves watched the video again last night, alone. He told himself it was a glitch, a prank, a virus. 40 seconds passed. She looked up. This time, the text appeared earlier. Second 39. Alan Reeves. But something else was different. Her eyes. They were not focused anymore. They were sharp, aware, as if she was not looking at the camera, but at him. Reeves closed the video. He did not report the change. The next morning, Officer Glenn did not come to work. Her apartment was found unlocked. She was sitting at her kitchen table, phone in her hand, screen dark. No traumas, no toxins, cardiac arrest. Her case was labeled natural. The department was quieter after that. The file remained in evidence. No one wanted to delete it. No one wanted to open it either. Weeks passed, then months. The system flagged another update. Evidence supplement A modified. No one admitted to touching it. Reeves gathered the remaining staff. They watched it together this time. Emily sat at her table. 40 seconds. She looked up. The text appeared, but it did not stop at one name. It began to list them, one by one, each person in the room, in order. When it reached the last name, the video did not cut to black. It kept running. Emily stood, up, slowly. She walked toward the camera. Her face filed the frame. The image distorted, then froze. Then file ended. 3 days later, Detective Alan Reeves was found at his own kitchen table. Phone in his hand, screen dark, natural causes. Case closed. The file remains in the system. Still 47 seconds long. Still waiting. If opened, it will play normally for 40 seconds. And then, at second 41, she will look up, and the name will be added.